Welcome back, guys. So welcome to the Leena Guiger Show. Today we have Poonam Walid.
Hi.
This has been a long time coming. She is an influencer, a marketeer, am I saying it right?
Yeah,
and a
marketeer,
digital content creator. And my friend.
And your friend. We are friends. It
We are
feels
friends,
weird.
yeah.
It's actually quite casual, the fact that we're doing this.
But you know
because,
what's crazy?
We talk about stuff all the time, except this time around we're just recording
Yeah.
it.
And the amount of times that Poonam's actually said, this should have been recorded. This needs to be on a podcast.
Yeah,
So
like, oh my God, we just did a groundbreaking conversation. Why
I
didn't we
wish people
record
heard it. But she's here today. We've got her down at the Milkcake Man.
Yeah.
And again, the podcast is hosted at the Milkcake Man. So we've got the menu in front of you.
Yes.
What is it that you would like to try today?
Well, you know me, I never take risks with foods. I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm going to have the 24 karat gold saffron milk
Saffron
cake.
milk cake.
And I'm going to have a cappuccino as well.
Perfect.
And a bottle of water, please.
Only the best.
Only the best. Fiji bottle of water, please.
Okay, so we've got that. The
That'd be
saffron
the
milk
whole-
cake is actually very famous by you.
I love this.
So many people actually
So
ask for
right
saffron milk
now,
cake.
with my health kick, literally, if it's not saffron milk cake, if it's not baklava, if it's not kanafa, I'm not going to eat it. Like, this is literally in my top 3. I love it so much.
I love it so much. And to be honest, saffron is what
favourite.
started everything off. This
It
was
is.
the
And
OG
it's like
of
the
milk cakes.
original like milk cake, isn't it?
Yeah,
in Dubai?
for me it is. And even in the
yeah.
Middle East, it's a very natural, original flavour.
Yeah, yeah, it's so nice. But yeah, for
Even
anybody that
milk.
hasn't tried this, you guys need to try this. It's amazing.
And it's got edible
Oh, do we
gold
get
on
to put
top.
our own milk on?
Yeah.
Ah, should we do it
Sorry,
sometime?
can I get the coffees, please? Okay, so we've got the saffron milk cake. You've got a cappuccino. I've got my Americano.
Yes,
We're ready to pour?
we are ready to pour. Wait, can I record this?
Yeah, you can. God, you scared me.
No, sorry. I just want to record it. Okay,
Ready?
we're ready.
This
Yeah.
is the famous pour.
Let's go.
Go.
See, everybody's going to see now how I do things on camera and do things at the same time.
Multitasker.
And then do you put it at the top as well?
I never put it on the top. I have OCD,
I don't like
so I
putting it
always
at the
just
top.
pour it and leave
I feel
it.
like if it was abs, he'd like put it on the
Throw
top
it everywhere.
as well.
Some
Yeah,
people
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, but I
But I
personally
like
don't.
keeping the top like nice.
Yeah, I like to eat my food nicely.
Yes.
Okay, so I know that running a business is
Are we going to eat
very...
it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to be there for camera. All right, ready?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
ready.
let's go. Last time I took a really big bite, so I'm not going to make that mistake twice.
Gets me every time, you know.
You know what? I haven't had a saffron in so long. We actually don't eat them anymore.
This is the one. It's
Guys,
so
give us a
good.
second. Give us 1 second.
It's delicious. I love it. I'll take it nice and slow.
Saffron's my favourite. Oh my God. Where's Shiraz? Amazing.
Well done, Traz.
Okay, so I know that running a business is tiring, right? And you're not just running a business. You're a wife. You work full time. I don't know if people know this, but you actually have a full time job
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
away from Instagram, social media.
It's quite like a strategic job as well. So it's quite
Tell
kind
us
of
about
like...
that. Tell us, what is it that you do?
So I work in marketing and effectively, I think the best way to describe it is that I manage all of the social media strategy for the part of the business that I work for. And then I actually write like a lot of like our executive comms teams,
Wow.
scripts and stuff. So let's say the best way to describe it is Rishi Sunak is going to have somebody that writes his scripts for him and tells him what to say. I'm basically
way.
that person for the company that I work for. Yeah, so for the executive comms team.
We've got brains and beauty here,
I
guys.
absolutely love it. Like, I just love it. And it's such a great job because it requires you to be up to date with everything that's going on from a like sustainability point of view, because it's basically a sustainable, it's energy management, the business is. So I have to know about the regulations. I have to know about like what's going on in the market. So it's really interesting.
And you have to be on top of everything.
Yeah, which is why I love reading, because I have to read for my job anyway when it comes to sustainability.
I love your book recommendations, by the way.
And then I just translate that into like my everyday life where I just read and I love to learn. So
Oh, that's amazing. But that makes sense why, like, you've pushed your Instagram and Absy's Instagram to such a good place. Because you do it as a full-time job.
Yeah. So I have to literally be on top of like what are the trends on social media. Like, you know, short video is booming right now.
Yeah.
First it was 30 seconds, now it's 11 seconds, now it's dropped to like 7 seconds.
I saw that. Someone said like 0 point something seconds. I was like, you can
it's
barely do a
mad.
movement in that time.
Literally. Like,
Hi.
but I love that side of social media because people just think it's just a platform.
Yeah.
It is not. It's a whole strategy these days. Like, if you can't just start a page and just think like, oh, I'm just going to post and it's
Yeah.
going to grow. You have to, it's like a business. You need a strategy, you need a goal, you need a plan, you need an editorial calendar, you need a schedule.
Wow.
So it's like,
I ain't got none of those.
I'm going to help you, don't worry.
But Poon and Wallet is a brand, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
So you've built your business and it didn't come overnight. Can you like talk us through how you did it over time?
Yeah. It's like, so the whole like blogging thing, I started that because my full-time job was just so stressful, because at that time I was traveling a lot.
Okay.
And I was traveling a lot and stuff, because obviously I've moved in various positions in the company and stuff, and I was traveling loads, and I was just like, wow, I want to do something that's not like, I want to do something to do with my
like
passion.
a hobby.
Yeah, exactly, like fashion, beauty or whatever. And then I started my blog at that time, which was Heel Diaries. And I called it Heel Diaries because I was literally always in heels, and I just thought, well, you know, it's heels and it's my diary, so Heel Diaries.
And it's to you, it's something personal to you.
Yeah, and I started that, and that's how it all started off. And then at that time, I didn't even think about Poon and Wallet as a brand. Like, I just called it Heel Diaries.
Brand
that
name.
was actually the brand. And then over the years, obviously, I translated over to Instagram, because that's where I started to post more, because blogs, I guess, died a little bit. They're coming back now.
It's like what you said, though, but like we're transitioning so many times from blogs now to like then YouTube, then Instagram, then
and
TikTok.
Then
videos.
Podcasts.
It's changing. Podcasts. It's changing so many times. For us, it's how do we keep up to date with them? Are we going to get left behind?
And you know, that's one of the key things in business, regardless of what it is, whether it's social media or the Milk Cake Man, you have to keep on top of what's going on, and you have to jump on it. And if you don't jump on it, it's not going to do well. So then I moved over to Instagram, start posting on there, and then started to do like little videos, like 1 minute videos, and then obviously it moved to reels and stuff. But then at that point, like, obviously I did that for 4 years. Like, I just literally consistently posted, you know, brought makeup or brought whatever, did a review.
And this was out of your own money, right? You were buying things,
This was out of my own money, because at the very beginning, as an influencer, as a digital creator now, you have to make investments. You have to buy things and review them. And to be honest with you, I was buying that stuff anyway, because obviously, you know,
so
I was
it's a
buying
win-win
like,
situation.
I was buying the latest Huda Beauty palette or foundation or whatever. So the only difference was now that I was trying it out and telling people what I actually think of it. Okay. And that's like, I guess, like the original blogging, you know, you do
like
that,
an influence. That's what people, but some people still assume that as an influencer, like, oh, you're sitting on YouTube, you're just telling us your makeup, and you're telling us the color and the shades, whereas it's so much more.
It's so much more now, because it's turned into a business, because the way the market's moved is that businesses and brands, they're not marketing on billboards, on TV, on magazines now. They're marketing through influencers. All that budget has translated to influencers. Yeah. And it is a big shift, but where you have to keep true to yourself is that you only take on campaigns if you truly believe in the product.
Is that something you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I've rejected so many campaigns, and I think that's where the brand building comes into it, because if you're taking on every single campaign and you're just putting products out there and just thinking about the money, that brand isn't going to get built, because people are going to buy stuff that they're then going to message you and say, oh, I brought
didn't
that
work.
and it wasn't good, and it wasn't what you said it was.
And I feel like your followers know when you're lying, or they know when you're not being truthful, because their followers have been around you for so long. Do you know what I mean? Like, on a digital surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that takes time. And I think, like, when I moved over to Instagram, I realized that, I think it was like 2020 when I really realized that, wow, like, I'm getting asked so much in DMs, like, what is it that you wear? Which one do you use? You know, where would you go to buy a handbag? And I was like, people don't give a shit about Heel Diaries. They care about Poon and Wallet. And then I literally changed my website. I was like, I'm not going to call it Heel Diaries anymore. I'm going to.
When did you actually change it? In what year?
Literally, like, at the end of 2020. So after 4 years of doing it, I was like, ding, okay, it's not Heel Diaries. It's Poon and Wallet.
But it's crazy because you yourself are a brand. Yeah. And that's what I love, because people don't just buy into Heel Diaries, for example. They're buying into you because you can sell. You know what you're putting out. Then I feel like sometimes, especially in social media, we just assume everything that someone's putting out there, they've just been paid. They don't really trust it. Whereas you're openly saying that I reject big campaigns.
Rejected campaigns, Even, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to mention which brands, but I work with brands where I've worked with them for certain products, and for other products, I've just said to them, guys, this isn't working for me. Like, you know, I've tried it out. and I'm just not getting the results, and I don't want to like put it out there and say to people that, you know, this is good to
And I love that
use.
because that's the truthful aspect of being an influencer.
And you have to have guts to do that as well. I don't know about other people, but I just feel like you just have to be a little bit bold, and you've got to know your self-worth. You've got to know the worth of your followers as well. I know that if I like something, like I like saffron milk cake,
me too.
Majority of my followers will like it too. Not because I'm saying it, but because they have a very similar taste to me.
Yeah.
So it's the same with everything.
And it's very like-minded people who are going to follow you. You're not going to have people who hate you and then sit on there and hate everything you're doing. It's people that have similar tastes, similar travel, wherever you're going, what you're doing, your work. So.
And it's the same with like stuff around the house. If I've got candles or whatever, I'll be like, guys, this is worth investing in, because I know they've got a similar taste. And there's such a community feel in that, knowing that you've got followers that have literally got the same taste, they're like the same vibe, and it's such a community. And I think the branding, like building a brand, actually translates out of that as well, because they know that, oh, it's good enough for her, it's going to be good enough for them, and I know that if it's good enough for me, it's going to be good enough for them. So it's just a nice
like always
little
looking after each other. One thing that I love is that you're a young Indian woman from Birmingham who's pushed her platform so well, and even though you don't have 200k followers, which we all assume you got to have like 300k followers, 200k followers to work with big brands, but you've done quite completely opposite. And I feel like that gives people a bit more hope. People that are looking into go into influencing, people that go and look at these brands. You don't work with anybody. You work with people who have good engagement.
And credibility.
And credibility and loyalty. And you know that you're going to do right by them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like when you haven't got 100,000 followers, you're classed as a micro-influencer. So
is that a thing?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay.
So I'm literally a micro-influencer. So that is literally anything from 10,000 to 100,000.
So what's over 100,000?
So 100,000 is like I don't know what to call them, but it's like the next one. So it's kind of like
that's crazy. There's job roles.
They split you. So when a brand is looking to split their marketing budget and work with influencers, they'll be like, let's say like, I don't know, like Garnier, for example, they want to take a bunch of influencers on a vacation. Typically, it's the ones that have over 100K. And when it comes to campaign budgets, like, oh, we want to launch a product or whatever, they'll go with the micro-influencers, because the micro-influencers normally have the best engagement with their followers, because it's more one-to-one, it's smaller, it's more like a boutique-y feel. So so it's a little bit different. So I'm classed as a micro-influencer, but I think the branding side of it, and the fact that I've built such a good following, and they listen and, you know, they engage with my content, and it's that loyalty is why I actually get the campaigns. So I have to then keep true to my followers, which is why I only promote the things that I actually believe in, not because I'm just getting paid for it. Because like I said, I've like rejected so many things because, you know, I just haven't believed in the product. So
with people who are looking into influencing or looking to push their page, what advice would you give to them? Because it's taken you 7 years, right?
It's took me 7 years, and I think the biggest thing is when I first started off, I remember it was kind of like the Huda Beauty era, where it's all about
the lashes.
Lots
Do you remember?
Of makeup.
You'd hold them up here like this,
and it was like literally contouring,
heavy
like
contouring
loads
as well.
of makeup. And that was the success on social media. Like if you was that type of beauty influencer, you were kind of like making it. And I thought I had to be that. So I did it. And I literally just used to do like really heavy makeup looks. And like, I just thought to myself, do you know what? This isn't me. Like I'm all about like stripped back, not that much
beauty,
makeup.
natural. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't have enough of it.
We don't have enough of it. And it's really interesting because when COVID happened in 2020, I stripped back because skincare became such a thing. People weren't wearing makeup, they weren't leaving their houses. Skincare was such a big thing. And I think 2020...
That's crazy to think it was.
Yeah, like, because people weren't leaving, were they, their houses and stuff. So it was more about, like, looking after your skin. And I remember, like, when I started to do that, that's really when my following started to grow and get engaged, because I'm not about, like, heavy makeup and stuff. But I thought I had to be that in order to grow, get noticed. So I think the biggest advice I would give to somebody that wants to do this is just go in from the very beginning, just being yourself. Whether that's like stripped back style or whatever that is, be true to yourself, because that's how you're really going to build like a true loyal audience.
Okay, so guys, be true to yourself. That's the advice that we got here today from Poonam.
Yeah, be true to yourself.
One thing I know is that you know, being in the beauty influence world, being in your high career, it's not something you've always been in. So I know that growing up or when you're in school, when you were in university, this stuff wasn't accessible, right?
No.
Now, a lot of your followers, especially with what's happened, and we will touch upon that.
Yeah.
You've got an influx of new followers, right? And people must assume that because you live this life and you've given this life to yourself, you've worked hard for it. They just assume that you've come from it, or you've come from money, or you've come from things, whereas they don't know that you and Abs actually have worked really hard. So can you shed a bit of light on that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've definitely come from like a humble background. You know, just a normal family. Parents worked hard. I would literally wear like my brother's clothes and stuff. And, you know, when it was mufti day at school, it was like, oh shit, I don't have an outfit to wear. I'm just going to wear my brother's joggers and, you know, rock up to school. But yeah, I was actually a tomboy, you know. A lot of people don't know that.
What?
I used to play football. I was in the girls' football team, 4-a-side football, 6-a-side football. I have got trophies and medals and everything.
What?
Like my dad used to take me to football. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane.
I was like proper tomboy because I had an older brother, so I looked up to him. And I think it was probably like when I was like 13 or 14, that's when I flourished into a woman. But yeah, like, oh, I'm a girl. But yeah, I was a tomboy. But yeah, like I came from a very humble background. Growing up, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, but I always knew that I wanted to work really, really hard.
Yeah.
And when I met Abs, he had the same mentality, and he had a very similar background as well. And we have literally worked
so
really hard. Yeah, like
I can imagine.
Really hard. And even when we were married, like the first year, we were left with like literally like £200-300 disposable income every single month. And it was like, okay, we want to go on holiday, but we can't afford it. And
we'll do a bit there and a bit there. But I feel like that
like, this is when we got married. So that wasn't even that long ago. And then when we got married, it was kind of like, okay, do we go on our honeymoon or do we buy furniture? It was like these types of decisions. So we've been through, I mean, that's just like very high level. We've been through some like really difficult times and stuff. And I think, you know, we've just literally worked really, really hard and got to where we are. But I like it because it makes you appreciate where you've come from. But I think a lot of people don't know that about me.
Yeah.
And I do try and talk about that on Instagram sometimes, you know, like let them know that I haven't always come from this, but
you've given it to yourself.
Yeah, and I think everyone's capable of doing that.
I think you just have to unlock what it is that you have, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this actually, that whatever it is that you want, you are your own problem. So if you want something, you cannot blame the universe. You cannot blame your neighbor, whoever else.
Yeah.
If you want something, you go and get it.
You got to go and get it. Yeah.
It's such an uncomfortable transition. Yeah. It's such an uncomfortable, like, what was your first time recording like?
Oh my God, dreadful. Like I did it and I was just like, no one's going to want to watch this.
But you did it, right? So again, unlocking those things.
I was so self-critical as well. I was like, oh my God, my teeth aren't nice. And oh my God, is that what I look like? I was really self-critical. And I did it. And I remember I showed Abs and he was like, oh darling, that's so good. And I was like, oh, that's nice, little confident piece. And then I put it up and then it got engagement. And I was like, oh, people do like it. But it's really weird because we were talking about this the other day in the car, where we are our own limitation.
Yeah.
Like we give ourselves a ceiling in our head and we think, okay, I'm good, but I'm not that good. So I'm good about there, and that's what I'm going to try and aim for. It's the fear.
I like that term, ceiling.
And I think we do. And I think so many people give themselves a ceiling because they just really, it's a confidence issue because you don't think you're good enough. And, you know, coming out of uni and stuff and even starting influencing, I didn't think I was good enough. I was like, oh my God, no one's going to want to listen to me.
Yeah.
Brands are never going to want to work with me. I was telling you like the other day that when Harrods got in touch with me, I thought it was a fake email.
That's
and
crazy.
I ignored it. And I literally ignored it. Like, I didn't put it in the spam folder, but I just ignored it. And then a week later, they followed up and they were like, hi, Poonam, we're just following up because we really want to work with you on this campaign. And I was like to Abs, I was like, I think it's real. I was like, I think it's real. And then I replied back and I was like, yeah, like, you know, obviously I'm interested.
Yeah.
You know, what is the campaign and stuff. And it was an actual legit email from Harrods.
That's crazy.
I couldn't get over it. I was like, why would they want to work with me?
But why wouldn't they?
I know,
See,
it's that ceiling conversation, isn't it?
And I think sometimes it's the language we use, like, why me? But then we also think, but why not me?
Yeah.
But we don't, and again, it comes from confidence. Like, for me personally, I feel like over years, I've learned that I need to change my language. So if I'm having a bad day, I'm not having a bad day. I'm having a bad time. I need to shrink that and say, okay, after this bad time.
Or you're just having a very bad moment in a 24-hour day.
Literally, because I still have 6 hours on my day. Do you know what I mean? But that's incredible. Like these bigger brands got in contact with you.
And you know, I told them. So it was actually like a campaign. It was a Dior prestige campaign. So that's why I was just like, okay, this is just like weird. Why would they want to work with me? When I went to Harrods in Knightsbridge, I was speaking to the PR team. And I said to them, I was like, oh, guys, I thought it was fake. Like, I didn't think you'd want to work with me. And they were like, why wouldn't we? We love your content. And I think sometimes it's just nice to have that little boost.
Yeah, that little confidence boost sometimes.
Because kind of in my head,
is it the endorphins, those good hormones that we have, that we thrive off? Yeah.
Because obviously I want to work with brands like that, but you think you're not good enough. And I think so many people put a ceiling
above their heads.
Yeah, and you've just got to break down the ceiling, because it's going to happen. Like, if you manifest it, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I was just going to say, do you believe in manifesting? So, you know, when you put things out into the universe, right? And I always see that even though we're in England and you've got places like London, such a big place where opportunities are everywhere, right? And I feel like in Birmingham, they're so much more smaller.
Yeah.
And I feel like that ceiling sits above us a bit more.
Yeah.
And whereas in London, like, because there's so many big things happening, and I think even in other cities, right? It's accessible to them, whereas we have to work a little bit more harder. Push things a little bit more, because it's not going to come to us that quickly.
I do believe in manifestation.
You got to put it out into the universe, guys.
You can leave that in there. Don't edit that out. Stumbled. It's real. No, but I do believe in it, because I think that when you manifest it without you knowing, you're actually doing actions to work towards it.
Is it the metaphysical side of it?
Yeah. And it's like subconsciously
you're bringing it out.
You're bringing it out, and you know it's so possible. It is like little
Anything's
things.
Possible.
It is like Farfetch is a brand that I've always wanted to work with, and I've literally wanted to get onto their radar. And again, like, I used to think to myself, like, I love to work with Farfetch. I love to work with Farfetch.
That's
and I was like to Abs, I need to work with Farfetch. I want to work with Farfetch.
I
and then
am
all
going
of
to
a
work
sudden,
with them.
I'll get an email from Farfetch, and now I've got a long-term contract with them.
That's amazing.
And it's just like, it definitely, you can totally manifest it.
That's it. I do believe in manifesting. Like, I do believe that whatever you put out into the universe, and again, like the smallest thing about spiders, if I'm going to consistently think of spiders, I'm going to see a spider. So whatever my brain is thinking, I'm bringing it into reality. And I believe in timing. Every form of timing in my life is just at the right time. I don't sit and dwell and think, but why not that time, or why not this? Timing is everything.
If it doesn't happen, it's not meant to be.
Yes.
And you have to accept that. I think accepting those types of situations is the biggest thing you can do for your mental health, because otherwise you're going to sit there thinking, why didn't it happen? What have I done wrong? Why did she get it and I didn't get it? And then it just gets you into this
so
like
toxic.
mental battle.
Talking about mental health, now I know Instagram's amazing. You can make money off it. You've learned so much. You've built your brand, your business.
Because I know what you're going to ask.
What is the dark side of social media? The mental health, the aspects, the negative comments, the things that we don't see, the things that your followers don't see. How do you deal with that stuff?
There's definitely a dark side to social media. And it's a shame, because I didn't think that I would get that kind of hate, like the kind of hate that I do get. And like this year's been really tough. And obviously it's been a bit hard to hide it. Like normally I do, because I like my page to be positive. And that's it. I don't want to have any negativity. There's so much stuff that goes on in the background that I just don't talk about. But
you don't want to bring it out into the universe either.
And I get messages from my followers saying like, oh, I love your page. I come on it for positivity. Like when I wake up, it's the first page that I check. So if I'm there like being negative, it's
contagious.
But this year's been tough. Like unfortunately, like we do get a lot of hate on Instagram. Like Abs and I both do. I get more, and I do believe there's an element of the fact that, like, unfortunately, girls are just like that with each other. And
I was just going to say, men wouldn't go around throwing around like that catty behaviour hate, which I can totally understand. But also, your page recently got taken down.
It got taken down, So obviously, I can't go into the details because it's still kind of like ongoing.
But was that a snowball effect of the hate? Okay.
It was a snowball effect of the hate, and it got like really out of control. And I think the biggest thing when that happened, I just had, and I never feel defeated, but at that time, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And like Abs was like, you have to do this. And he was just like, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to carry your style videos. But I felt so like, wow, like, is this what it can be like and do? So I felt quite defeated, but then I just picked myself back up. Obviously, we, got the account back and everything.
And you have such a good following. Like your followers, when you came back, there was just this
That
influx.
was one of the other reasons. I had like emails from people just saying like, where are you? Like your page was like the first page I used to check in the mornings, and Abs had so many DMs saying like we miss Poonam, and that was actually really nice because even as an influencer, you got like 60,000 followers or whatever. You don't think people are going to miss you in that way. Because
it's not a real interaction, it's social media, but it's still an interaction.
You just think they're going to move on and like move on to like another influencer or something.
They're loyal. You have loyal followers.
Yeah, so there's a dark side, and I would say like I probably get like hate once a week. Like that's how consistent
How do you deal with it though?
It's got to the point now where I just ignore it because I have to. But yeah, people are vicious, man.
I can imagine.
Very vicious.
But some people like, unlike yourself, might not be as positive, right? So they might take that and then turn it into something completely different, where they might just come off social media altogether, and then this whole idea of people like cancelling them and stuff. So I know that if you don't have a positive mindset, if you're not as strong, it can really turn horrible.
I think it can, and I've spoken to a lot of younger influencers where it does. Like it stops them from doing what they do. But I think when you're a little bit older, you think to yourself, the people that are hating have actually got a problem with themselves. They haven't got a problem with you.
It's an inner thing, 100%.
And a lot of the times they actually want to be doing what you're doing, and that's why they're hating.
That is true. It's a bit of jealousy.
Yeah, it literally is. I don't like saying it, but it is because, they look at you thinking, well, why don't they have that? Or why can't they do that? And the truth is you can. Like anybody
you got to put in the work.
Yeah, so
you have a Dark Heels platform, blogging page.
But it's one of those things in life, isn't it? You can watch somebody and get inspired by them.
Yes.
Or you can watch somebody and hate on them. Yeah. And you've got two options. Yeah. And I watch people and I get inspired and I think, oh, I want to do that, or one day I'm going to do that, or what inspiration can I take from that? But unfortunately, people watch and hate and then chat shit about you.
No, but I can imagine.
Am I allowed to say shit on?
Yeah, I guess so. Can she?
I think so. I can.
I think so.
I mean,
yeah. It's all right. It's not a swear word. We're not shouting it. We're not swearing at anybody. I'll cancel it out. Joking. Thank you. Okay, it's normalised.
You just have to put a disclaimer saying this one contains bad language.
No 12-year-olds are under, please.
It's good that Abs isn't here. Oh my God, you'd have to literally bleep everything out.
One thing I love is that no matter what happens in the background or what happens with you and Abs or social media, you still have such a positive mindset, right? And one thing that I've loved and I've taken from you this year is slow living. Even if it is just taking my coffee. I remember we did this at dinner once, like 5 things that you love, and I didn't realize that it's the smallest things. And just enjoying your coffee.
It was a happy list.
The happy list, that's the
one.
I
learned it from Mo Gadat's book, Solve It for Happy. So you should do a happy list. And then the goal in life is to do those things every single day.
Because they're your happiness, right?
Yeah, and we don't do them enough.
But one thing I love is your slow living.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get into that? How did that help you? How did you even transition into it?
COVID. Literally 2020 was a transition year for me because before that I was just so busy. I remember you saying traveling all the time. I was literally traveling once a quarter. Like for my job, I was traveling to Paris, to Boston, to Nashville, like all over the place. And I was just like, gosh, this is so much. And then COVID happened. Everything just slowed down. And I was like, wow, I love this.
I can stay here.
Obviously, there was a lot of negativity around lockdown with businesses closing down. That's the sad side. But from a slow living point of view, that's when it happened because I was waking up and appreciating life, not having to rush into work or do this, that, the other. Just not do anything. And I loved it, and we went for walks, and I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, and I would die happy. I would die happy if I could just do this for the rest of my life.
I'm going to see the ships on the way. But and even slow living for me, I've taken inspiration from you, and it was just slowing down my own life. And I know that you are working back to back, right? So when you're working your corporate job and then you're doing content creating, it's long hours.
It's long hours.
So when I was overworking myself, and I feel like I just physically cannot stop, just taking that little bit of time, to say, okay, you know what? It will get done. These jobs will get done.
And it feels uncomfortable when you first do it because you're like, oh my God, I should totally be productive right now. But I've carried it on, and I have to say, the clarity that I've got now, like when I sit down and do work, I've just got so much more clarity now. Like I'm so much more productive, even though I'm doing less, if you get what I mean, because I'm focused. So
and you're going to do that one thing amazingly rather than rushing it.
Multitasking is such a myth. I think it's an energy drainer. I used to be a multitasker.
Yeah.
So I used to multitask
I'm guilty of that.
time.
I'm that right now.
Yeah.
I need to stop it.
I used to be that, and honestly, it's the best thing that I've stopped doing in my life. You know, our brains aren't made for multitasking. So I read this thing where it's like a computer, right? If you've got lots of things up on a computer, like PowerPoint, Word, you got Google up, you got this, that, the other, and you're literally clicking from screen to screen, your computer's going to freeze or slow down over time. So our brains are like that. We're not meant to do a number of things at any one time. Just do one thing at a time and then move on to the next.
I needed that. More than anybody, I needed that.
But I was that person too. I was literally doing it all the time. And like COVID just made me slow down. And I've carried it on because obviously I work from home. I work in an international role. So it's all work from home. And it just gives me that like time. And obviously I wake up very early. I get up at 6 o'clock and I just have that like
I see that. I'm like 3 hours ago. What was she doing 3 hours ago?
Yeah, people don't believe that. They think it's like
you are a morning person.
Really wake up at I'm such a morning person. I'm just I like I talk in the mornings
but I love that you are.
And like Abs isn't. He's just like shh, I don't want to talk right now. But I'm just such a morning person. I just love it.
I feel like you are or you're not.
Yeah.
And I've tried to transition to it, but I physically cannot. Like I'm so angry in the morning, but throughout the day I'm like I'm so happy.
Yeah,
I'm just not
like that. Person. He's like an afternoon person.
Yeah.
Like a mid-afternoon, like between like 12 and 2, and then that's it.
I love that.
Whereas I'm like such a morning person.
Also talking about staying at home and working from home.
Yeah.
Your home renovation, right?
Yeah.
And this happened just after lockdown.
It was during COVID, I think we did it. Yeah, 2020, yeah.
How did that happen? So I know that normally, do you remember like 10 years ago where everyone's house was grey and everyone had everything grey, and now we're transitioned to this
grey carpet, grey walls, like everything grey. Oh my God.
And I feel like now we're transitioned to this very like unique, boutique, minimal kind of look. And I love your transition, right?
Yeah.
What inspired you to do that? Or how did it even come around? Like who's thought, let me just get this house and renovate it?
You know what? It was never meant to be like that. So we moved in and we always knew we were going to renovate. We were supposed to do it in phases because it was such a big project.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it in phases in the end because we just thought if we're going to start this, we're just going to do it and get it over and done with. And then I think it was just like really good timing because the contractors that we worked with had an interior designer. And he wanted to get his name out there as well. So he was
working alongside.
Yeah, and he wanted to create like a number of different like rooms. And one of the rooms he wanted to really get on his like portfolio was a walk-in wardrobe. And obviously I literally, when I was born, I wanted a walk-in wardrobe. Like before anything else. It's like I want to have a walk-in wardrobe. So when we viewed this property, I think it was the second biggest room next to the master bedroom, we've converted into a walk-in. And like so many of our family members were just like, that's such a big room. Why do you want
a bed in there?
Yeah, put
You're
a
such
bed.
An Asian.
You can have
put an extra bed.
Yeah.
Someone put on going to come let them sleep there.
And I was just like, no, this is going to be my walk-in wardrobe. And we always had that in mind. And then obviously our contractor, when he came and he saw the property, he was just like, you know what, I've got a really good interior designer. He's not cheap, but he can literally transform this. And I met him. He's a guy called Suki Shaka. Like, he's literally the best interior designer. Like, it was so, like, amazing working with him.
I feel like, so, for example, like we just said now, having a walk-in wardrobe, we'll think, oh, it's a luxury, right?
Yeah.
But if you want that for yourself, you will give that to yourself, right?
Yeah,
and anyone could do it.
Yeah.
If someone has a spare bedroom in the house, instead of turning it into a bedroom, you could turn it into a walk-in wardrobe.
Absolutely, yeah.
But again, it's that mindset.
It's a funny story. Like, I was never into designer. The person that got me into designer was my husband. Because because I knew nothing about designer.
Not that you have another husband, but you know.
Like, when we were young and we were dating, he brought me a Dior handbag. I had to like say to my friend who was into designer, and she was like, "Do you know what that is?" And I was like, "It's a handbag." And she was like, "It's a Christian Dior handbag."
No way.
And I was like,
how old were you?
So I Googled it. I think I was like 17.
Okay.
So I actually didn't know because, you know, I knew about designer, but I didn't know like the brands and stuff.
Even growing up, sometimes like from our upbringings, we're not exposed to that type of stuff.
You're not exposed to it, and I never wore it. Like, I used to wear Adidas and Nike and Puma and Alessi, whatever it's called. And, you know, Kelly shoes with the lights and stuff. Oh my God.
Remember Kangol?
But, yeah, exactly. But then he's the one who actually got me into it, and he started that with that
created a
Christian Dior
monster.
handbag. He created a monster, and then obviously like over the years, like every time it was my birthday, he would buy me something else, like a Christian Dior
and you add to your
necklace or
collection.
something, and I was like, oh, I really like this.
And you get used to this.
I'm gonna carry this on. But you're so right, because like coming from that and not knowing, like when he got me my first handbag, and now I've got a walk-in wardrobe, that's like, I feel proud every time I walk into it. And it's
young Poonam would be so excited.
She would have been so excited. And it's not the materialistic stuff, it's the fact that every piece of collection in that walk-in wardrobe signifies how well we've done over the years. Because, you know, if we got like a bonus, I'd go and like buy one, or, you know, or whatever, I'd spend a proportion of it. And it's kind of like how you
enjoy spend your
it's
money.
like how you've progressed in life, you know, you've ended up doing,
and you buy yourself the things that you want, and that's a choice. And that
and the fact that you're passionate about it, and the leathers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like young Poonam would be proud, because
you know what, talking about young Poonam, right, what advice, and again we spoke about this earlier, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think not to stress so much about life.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I was young, I always used to think to myself, like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get married? Like, how do people get married? And where do you get money to buy a house? And like, your weddings cost thousands. Like, where am I going to get that kind of money from?
It's true, and so many people go through it. When you look around, everybody's married, but you think everyone went through the same thing, but nobody talks about it as much.
And the thing is, like, everybody makes it look easy. Like, people look at my page now and probably just think, wow, she makes it look so easy, but it's not easy. And I think as a young person, you stress about that so much. Like, how is that going to happen?
And stress affects your health so much.
Yeah, it does.
It's the silent killer.
And like, things just fall into place. Like, things just happen, don't they? And I think like growing up, I was such a worrier, because I was just like, oh my God, how's it going to work? And, you know, financially, how's it going to work and stuff? And I think things just click and, you know, they work out. So I think stressing and living in the future is just not the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I feel like we don't enjoy the now.
No, exactly.
We're so worried about the future.
It robs you from your present, you know. You don't enjoy like the present moment, because you're either living in the future or you're living in the past. And there's so many books that make reference to that really what you should be focused on is the today and the now, not the past with what's happened or not what's going to happen. But then there's a fine balance, because that doesn't mean you go and like blow all your money and not think about the future, because you need to have things. Yeah, you got to be smart. Yeah. But I think that's the biggest advice, that just don't stress so much.
It'll fall into place.
Yeah.
To finalise today, and thank you so much for being amazing, you journal, right? Yes. And again,
it's a recent thing that I started. Yeah.
Can you shed a bit of light on that?
Yeah, so I read a quote. I've told so many people this, but I read a quote that if you want to learn about the world, read, but if you want to learn about yourself, write.
Okay.
And that just sparked something. I was like, oh my God, I need to write.
Shakespeare.
This quote said so I need to write. But no, I've got to a point in my life where I just want to write. Like, I've got a bit of an urge to write.
It's like therapy to yourself, right?
Yeah, it is.
I don't journal, but I'm so interested to know why you journal, how you journal, what do you write down? Yeah. I'll just start doodling.
No, I literally, that's what I do. So I'll wake up in the morning and I'll do like 1 or 2 pages. There's no strict rule.
Okay.
You know, if I want to write half a page, I'll write half a page. If I want to do a page, I'll do a page. But I just, whatever's in my head. So if I wake up and let's say I'm in a really good mood, I'll just write about that. Like, oh, today I woke up and I was in a good mood.
Do you question why you're
in
it? Okay.
And then I'll be like, oh, in my head, I'll be like, oh, but why am I in a good mood? And then I'll write the answer. And it's very interesting. And you get down to such simple things. I do anyway. Like little things like, oh, last night we had a really nice meal and we watched a really good film. And like,
it really is.
It was just nice and cozy. And, you know, it was just such a nice little evening. Then we went to bed and, you know.
Had a great sleep.
But that is life, isn't it?
Yes.
Like,
it's enjoying the smaller moments.
Simplicity things. And then I've started to journal in the evenings as well as a reflection on my day. Like, for example, I'll go home later tonight and I'll journal about this conversation.
He made it, guys.
Yeah, he made it a journal. But I think there's no structure, but there are certain like exercises and stuff that you can do, like a letter to your younger self. So, yeah, like a letter to your younger self. What are the top 3 advices that you would give somebody else? You know, like little things like that. But I think whatever's in your head, just write. Like, you know, it's not stupid and no one's ever going to read it. Like I told Abs, don't you read my journal.
I write horrible things about you in there.
But I think it's just whatever comes into your mind, just write it, because it's such a good way of extracting the information as well from your head. So
and we're with our brains all the time, right? Before we do any work to the physical self, we have to do it to the mental self. So we have to actually think that voice in my head that I'm with every single day. How do I communicate with that person? How do I bring that person to life? Because the physical person who you are could be doing one thing, like in a dead-end job, but the mental version is so creative. They want to do X, Y, and Z. It's like what they say, that inner child that we just shut up. Say, okay, well,
and
it's not part of life.
I was reading this thing where physically we do have a limit. Physically we do. Like if we're doing something, we're going to get tired. But mentally, our brains are so capable. We don't even know.
It's one of the strongest. Is it muscle? Is the brain a muscle?
I think it is.
Okay, well, if it's not, someone can correct us.
I
don't know if it's a muscle.
I'm sure someone will write in the comments, no, it's not a muscle.
We're not stupid, we just don't know, okay?
We just don't know.
You were saying something like rewiring our brains?
You can rewire your brain.
Because we're in a structure, right?
Yeah. And that's why I like to read, because every time you read something and you learn something, you're rewiring. Or even like when you learn a car, for example, like learn how to drive, you'll do it the first time and you're just like, oh my God, I'm not good at this. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you become a professional. So you're just rewiring your brain. I think it's called neurology, isn't it? Like the study of
the brain and the nervous system.
So it's really interesting. And the same way, they apply that concept to anyone that is struggling with mental health, that you can actually rewire your brain to think positively. So it's quite interesting because we've got the capability to get ourselves out of it.
And it's crazy that we say we, because we are our own issue, right? So it's always a battle, you versus you. You are your own problem. So there's something you want, something you want to change. It has to start from you, right?
Yeah, it does. And we're our own limitation.
The last thing I want to touch on before we close off, your wellness being. So your fitness journey, how you change over time, like 3 months, right?
Yeah, 3 months consistently.
And I remember seeing your story, it was literally just like, just start moving today.
Yeah.
How has that helped you?
Yeah, so much. I just feel so much more energetic. I feel like a 21-year-old.
You look like
I'm not a 21-year-old. But I just feel so energized. And I've realized how we actually don't need that much food.
We don't.
Like,
I don't eat breakfast anymore.
Yeah, like we actually don't need that much food. Like I don't eat a lot in a day, but it's not because I'm starving myself. It's just I eat when I'm hungry.
It's gluttony, right?
Yeah.
It's actually one of...
It is.
It's one of the... What do they call them?
Like the 7 sins.
Is it 7 sins?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
7 deadly sins. There we go. Gluttony is one of them. I think we're such a impatient generation.
And it's boredom. Like if you're sitting on the sofa, like a part of the excitement for me used to be, we're having movie night. What snacks are we going to eat?
Snacking is the devil.
Yeah, but you don't actually need to snack. It's such a mindset change.
It's training the brain to do that.
It's training the brain. Yeah. Like before, I was like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I'd get angry over it. Like, I'm hungry.
Fighting
I'm hungry. Yeah. What are you cooking today? You need to feed me. But now, literally, like, it is a discipline, It really is. And I've got to that point now. I probably have like 2 meals and I snack in between. I do intermittent fasting. But I still feel so energized.
And it's a lifestyle change as well. So now you'll take this forward. And I've seen such amazing results off you. And I feel like your followers have. And they're so intrigued to know what's worked for you. Because it's not always going to work for everybody else, but you have to make that mindset change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the top 3 pieces of advice I can give is that first of all, it is a mindset change. Before your diet, before getting a PT, before exercising, you just need to have a mindset change. And I hear so many people saying, oh, I'm going to start on Monday. Why?
Why can't today be on Monday?
What's so special about Monday?
I love Mondays. It's my only day off. I love a Monday. But you can start any day.
I'm going to start January. Why? So
it's that comfort. We're giving ourselves comfort.
Like you're giving yourself like 3 days to enjoy yourself. No. Just start.
That's even worse. We're crashing before we go.
And there's this graph that I saw on Instagram where it's kind of like people that do that, they like shoot up and then they drop and then there's no consistency. So what you want to do is just start and stay consistent.
Steady, right.
And this is the key. One of like my best pieces of advice about life is you can be successful at anything if you're consistent. There's no magic formula. There is no shortcut. It is just consistency. If you consistently do anything, you're going to be good at it. And if you have that mindset, it's quite powerful.
Yeah, like because you believe it. You believe it, and you know that it's not going to happen now. And I think people that want fast results, it tends to not work out for them. But if you look at the longevity of something, you will see results, and you can't see changes over like a day or two.
And literally, that's all it is. Like mindset. diet is a big thing, and that's where my intermittent fasting comes into it. And then you don't have to get a PT. You can just exercise yourself or learn off YouTube or whatever. But I wanted to get a PT because I just needed that motivation.
She's insane, by the way.
So, yeah, she's so good. Oh, my God.
Fitness Mind. Check her out. Okay, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Poonam, for coming on today and sharing so much information with us.
We didn't get to eat our milk cake.
We're going to eat it now.
Yeah,
off camera,
we're going to eat it
we're going to enjoy it.
And I'm going to drink my cappuccino as well.
It's like frozen. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you want to like and subscribe, you can in the corners somewhere. But thank you for Poonam for coming on today. And it was an amazing chat.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.